come to the last portion of our unit, which is diseases and disorders of the nervous system and special senses. Obviously, there's a lot of them. You can go through whole classes in things like psychology and neuroanatomy, where you have tons of disorders of each of those systems. Now again, mental disorders by themselves are technically not always going to be in this system, because the fact is, in many cases, we haven't found a physical cause or physical damage to some of the different disorders. Some of them do, some of them don't. But mental disorders typically are causes of lots of things, and it's usually imbalances in other situations that they've determined which affect them. They've never found, in many cases, a physical portion of the brain that has an issue that they could just fix that physical portion. Disease and disorders. Cataracts. Cataracts are something that your doctor will ask you about if you go to your eye appointment. They're going to ask you this question about your family having a history of it. What are cataracts? It's really simple. It's a clouding of typically the lens of your eye, or in some cases the cornea, depends, sometimes both, where you build up calcium deposits on those, and those things have clouded their ability to work and function. You cannot see as clearly anymore. Eventually we'll lose the ability to see because of them if it's a severe case. Eustacia Itis is an inflammation of the eustachian tubes. In this case, what happens, a lot of children when they're born, they have these tubes, they have to have tubes put in because their ears are closing up and they can't get the fluid and pressure built up in there to be relieved. Glaucoma, also one that's been in the news a lot because of things like medical marijuana. People do it because what it is an elevated pressure in the eye. Traditional methods of dealing with it was they may have to drain it in severe cases, which means they would mobilize the head, mobilize the eye, take a needle and push it in the eye and drain out the excess liquid. Today they try other medications like cannabinoids in order to try to deal with this, or in some cases they have to even do surgery still even today to try to deal with that. Myopia, which is nearsightedness. The image is focused in front of the retina. You can see up close but not far away. So you may have to wear glasses because of that. Because I can see up close when I read, but if I take my glasses off, I can't see things far away. It's one of the more common ones that most people deal with. Whereas the other one is hyperopia, which is farsighted. You can see far away, can't see up close. That's because the image focuses behind the retina. So by being further away, it pulls the image towards the retina. It's easier for the person to see. Astigmatism, a lot of people have these. It's basically an uneven curvature of your cornea. So the problem is the cornea should be nice and round. In this case, sometimes it has little dents in it, little small deflections in it. That means it's not perfectly smooth and round. So things like in the past, you couldn't have contacts because of that, but now they make contacts for astigmatisms. But typically, people will notice they have little small symbols on there to tell you which way they're supposed to go in your eye, so they fit on your eye the correct way that they were formed for. Next one. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, otherwise known as ALS. It's a rare neurological disease. Typically it's misnamed as Lou Gehrig's disease because people thought he had it. Nowadays we don't think he actually had the disease and disorder. People like Stephen Hawking did have a version of it. What happens is you degenerate the motor cell bodies, so over time you start to lose control of your ability to make your muscles work until eventually they stop working. Lou Gehrig's disease one that Lou Gehrig had seemed to be working very differently. It had a lot of different features that didn't actually fit this. At the time, doctors didn't know any other ones. They think he may have had a different type of rare neurological disorder, which has nothing to do with this one, just some similar symptoms. Cephalgia. Everybody's had cephalgia at one time or another. We just don't know to call it that because it's a term for a headache. Multiple causes for it. Typically, it's going to be blood vessels throbbing in an area because they've been inflamed by some reason or caused problems with it. People have severe forms of like migraines, all kinds of things can cause it. So there's no one simple answer for what it causes a headache. Encephalitis is an infection of the brain tissue by bacteria, which causes a swelling of the brain. The problem with that is there's no place for the brain to go. There's no place for the swelling to go. You have a skull limits your size that you can get. My ankle gets swollen, it just swells up really big, it's painful, things like that. My brain can't do that, it crushes the tissue of the brain, destroys it, because the fluid basically presses on it and causes it to be destroyed. Glioma is a tumor of the neuroglia. A lot of these are benign, not always, can be cancerous, but you hear about stories like people having golf ball-sized tumors along the spinal cord or along the brain. A lot of times because of these. They grew along those areas, they grew really large and pressed upon other areas and damaged those other areas because of the size that they became. Guillain-Barré syndrome. Big long name here. Loss of the myelin sheath protecting the spinal nerves. So your spinal nerves lose their myelin sheath, they start to become erratic, they don't work as well. So you get muscular weakness. You get all kinds of things, usually from the legs, working your way up the trunk. Some forms are mild, some forms are severe, depends on how fast it works based on different forms. It's named for the two doctors who described it. It is treatable with respiratory assistance, usually an iron lung, something that was past used for things like polio and other disorders like that, actually still works for this kind of disorder. For some reason, we don't know why, but it does. Multiple sclerosis. MS is a progressive fatal disease. Does that mean you're going to die tomorrow if you have it? No. Typically, it's going to cause problems in life down the road because there's no cure for it right now. It involves myelin sheath again, but this time in the brain. So it's going to cause problems with being able to make the body function and send the signals right because they're getting interfered with all the time. There are, again, multiple ranges of this. It's not one disease, it's multiple diseases under one big umbrella. So you have things like very mild forms of it that take a long time to have problems, or people have very severe forms that have problems from the get-go and have issues their whole lifetime. Meningitis, I mentioned this before. It is an inflammation of the meninges, an infection caused by bacterial viruses, one of the two usually. Highly problematic because a lot of times in colleges nowadays, most places you have to take a shot for it, a vaccine for it before you go to college because of the fact that a lot of college students used to go there, get a really bad fever, go lay down, people would think about check on them, and then before they knew it, the person had died because of the fever raged so high, it basically fried their nervous system. It is incredibly dangerous, it can destroy a nervous system in a rapidly short amount of time, which is why people get very worried about it.